Now to discuss is Dan Hoffman. He's a retired CIA station chief, as well as a Fox Business contributor. Dan, thank you so much for being here. I'll start with this. If DarkSide, this group that's been named behind this ransomware attack, is in Russia, is a Russian-based group, doesn't Russia itself have to sign off on that organization's malfeasance or what it's up to? Like, it's not just private versus state-sponsored cyber crime.
Yeah, I kind of liken this to Al-Qaeda operating in ungoverned space in Afghanistan before 9/11 and then launching an attack on us from there, or at least planning it. And so what you've got are these hackers operating in Russia with impunity, with the knowledge of the Russian government, with their intelligence services. But the Russian government probably doesn't know all the details of the hacking operations that are being planned, though they may. But the fact that they're allowing these groups to exist on their territory and doing nothing about it obviously is of great concern to us and a threat, and we can hold Russia accountable for it.
What about with these ransoms? Do you pay them or not? Because again, as a nation, you don't pay for hostages. But do these ransoms get paid?
A lot of companies do pay the ransoms when they're attacked. Generally speaking, companies are advised not to do that. Companies should have contingency plans and data recovery plans. Every company should assume that they've already been hacked or they're going to be hacked, and they've got to have a contingency plan. Right now, we're in incident response and we're relying on trucks to get our fuel from one place to another. That's probably not the best response. We need something better from the Biden administration.
Well, and this is kind of a CIA question for you, Dan, doesn't our government have tentacles far-reaching enough that we could take care of the people, if you will, who are behind this, not going well for them? Like, what could be going on behind the scenes that we might not see or ever hear about?
Right. Well, I'd like to see the intelligence community collecting on these threats. Look, this is a major threat to our national security, and you can be sure that all of our adversaries, state actors like Iran and North Korea, not to mention China and Russia, are watching how we're handling this incident response. And just as we collect intelligence on terrorist threats to the private sector, we should be doing it when it comes to cyber attacks as well, sharing the threat information so that our private sector enterprises, especially the ones on our electrical grid and critical infrastructure, can be prepared, take appropriate action to defend themselves before we get to this point where, again, we've hit boom and we're in incident response.
Oh, and it could have been.
And as far as taking action, there is the capability for U.S. Cyber Command, and we've done it before, specifically during the midterm elections in 2018, reportedly targeting Vladimir Putin's chef, Prigozhin, at the Internet Research Agency, where we disabled parts of his capability in advance of the election. So we certainly have that capability.
And I want to point out that this attack was limited to the information or the administrative systems of the Colonial pipeline, and it actually didn't infiltrate the operational control systems. But this is just a sign, as you pointed out, to the rest of the world, all bad actors, whether state-sponsored or private, that of how vulnerable our energy system is, whether it's the electric grid, whether it's, and just one thing I'll point out is that I printed out this story from May that there were ties of a criminal group. There was a pipeline hack, a natural gas pipeline hack. And they said paltry little about it.
I mean, our critical infrastructure is certainly vulnerable to physical attacks as well as cyber attacks. For ransomware, it starts with training, because everyone in your enterprise should be aware that hackers are going to send you malware disguised as email attachments and links and other things, Trojan horse designed to get you to insert malware into your operating system. So training is really important, but so are indications and warnings. And again, that's what gets back to the intelligence community and our whole of government approach, where we should be able to collect on the threats and then maybe do something about it to protect our private sector. Right now, it's not really a level playing field. We need to help our private sector defend themselves.
Right. The headline, this was from February of last year, ransomware attack exposes poor energy sector cybersecurity. And it was on a natural gas pipeline operator. And they didn't, the FBI never named the company that was involved. But again, we've seen these headlines for years about the vulnerability of our energy sector.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I will just tell you from my own experience, including working with the FBI, it's all about the skin behind the keyboard. That's what my good friend Don Freeze used to say. He ran the FBI cyber division. It's the enemy hacker. It's our adversary sitting in Tehran or in Beijing, concocting this malware and finding ways to insert it and infiltrate it into our operating system. So we need to do a zero-based review of all of our vulnerabilities. I'd like to see the National Security, Deputy National Security Advisor for Cybersecurity, Ann Neuberger, get up on the podium this week and tell us what we're doing. And maybe the Congress should hold some hearings about it, because this really matters.
It does, and the frightening thing is we maybe don't know what we're doing. Dan, it was good to see you. Thank you so much. Dan Hoffman,
You too,
always
as
a
always.
pleasure.